So we're on the walking tour of Fort Sheldon. So Fort Sheldon Historical Site, El Camino Real de Tierra, dentro the Royal Road to the interior, was formally established by the Spanish in 1598. The trail was 1,500 miles long and stretched from Mexico City to Owingeh, where the Spanish established their first permanent settlement. Native Americans had used the route for thousands of years before the Spanish arrived with their pueblos scattered throughout the region. Once established, this corridor between Mexico City and northern New Mexico was traversed for centuries and remains one of North America's oldest, most significant routes. And it also says Paraje Robledo, the area of El Camino Real where you're standing was originally part of the Paraje Robledo. This campsite and the mountains to the west of the Rio Grande were named in honor of Pedro Robledo, a member of Juan de Oñate's Spanish colonizing expedition, who died and was buried nearby in May of 1598. This paraje or place was a welcome sight for travelers entering or exiting the dreaded Jornada de Muerto, or Dead Man's Journey, the driest and most dangerous portion of El Camino Real. Its strategic location close to the river was well used by travelers for more than 250 years. Oh, we see some of the traveling conveyances here. Buckboards, and then this at one time probably had a canvas top on it. You could see all of this, what's left of the building out here, all made by adobe. So coming out here, if you're interested to come out, it's a $5 admission fee. I think it's only open on the weekends because I've come down here before and it was not open. Okay, it's a picture of Douglas MacArthur, Arthur MacArthur Jr., Captain Arthur MacArthur, and Mary MacArthur. Set of officer quarters was the home of the MacArthur family from 1883 to 1886. Okay. So this was for Officers' Row, where military officers and their families lived. You can see what it looked like when it was all intact. That was 1867. It's changed a bit since then. It says each quarter contained 3 rooms. Kitchens were separate from the houses and sat in small buildings behind the structures. Although the officers enforced military protocols, the women of Fort Sheldon performed tasks that kept the isolated community functioning. They cared for the sick in the hospital, served as teachers for the children, grew produce in the company gardens, and organized social events. These women, as well as female civilian laborers for the fort, made the place more diverse. To the north of the officers' quarters was the post trader store, hotel, and post office. This establishment sold goods to supplement standard rations and supplies. With the arrival of the railroad in 1881, the variety of goods available from the post trader improved. Soldiers could buy luxuries like oatmeal and jams, making life a little more comfortable. Officers' Row has seen many types of preservation over the years. In 1990s, Getty Conservation tested different chemicals for use in adobe plasters and used portions of these walls for their experiments. Other parts of these walls have been buried, just like the bakery and corrals were. The wall bases were also graded or leveled. Officers' Row is on higher ground than the trail and parade ground and is leveled to a slight angle. This ensures that water flows toward parade ground and away from the adobe ruins. So, let's continue forward. Sorry about my voice, it's not quite back yet. The ruins have not stood the test of time so well here. These again were officers' quarters, is how it appeared in 1870. Hopefully you can see that. Officer quarters were much more luxurious than the enlisted men's barracks. Officers were permitted to bring their wives to places of duty and usually had servants. So, okay. Onward and upward. We see number 12. What does it say? Probably the same thing. Trying to do this with one hand. One hand while walking and making sure I keep an eye out for rattlesnakes. Okay, there's got pictures of the hospital, Fort Sheldon looking southward, Officers' Row, and the trader's store. And then here it has how things were set up. The yards, troop quarters, flagstaff, which we can see the flagstaff there. Privies, yards, employees' saddle room, troop corral, lumber corral. So onward and upward we go. It said in the officers' row, each house had its own backyard enclosed by one shared wall. There were front porches that provided shade, and accommodations were dusty but simple and pleasant. This was the site of the hospital and bakery. The hospital was designed to hold only 12 patients. Post-surgeon care for 2 units of soldiers, as well as travelers and people from the community. Common problems range from infections, heat stroke, dehydration, to more severe like bullet wounds, smallpox, and diphtheria. Behind the hospital was a bakery. It was a separate building from the main area of the fort because of high temperature ovens posed a fire risk, but more likely because placing the bakery close to the river was convenient for hauling water. Bread was an important component in a soldier's diet, and the bakery was an important part of the fort. Okay, number 11. Let's see if I can find what it says here. About the hospital again. Okay, sorry about this. It said again, or designed to hold 12 patients. Women of the fort consoled survivors, tended the sick, cooked extra food, and cleaned dishes, cleaned clothes. If you look closely at the ruins, you can even see the outline of a fireplace. The Fort Sheldon Hospital would have been very different from modern facilities we are accustomed to. Please do not walk inside the ruins. The barracks. Okay, this was the barracks area. 1874, these barracks were described as having dormitories 90 by 24 feet, single-story bunks. The barracks housed 2 companies, usually one of cavalry and one of infantry. 1 cavalry unit and 3 infantry units were comprised of black troopers or buffalo soldiers. There were 9 medals of honor presented to black soldiers for gallantry in action in New Mexico alone. Okay. It said there was 1 barrack for each unit stationed here. So basically the same thing Men smoked, socialized, and cooked on a rotating basis in a communal area. Civilians operated a wash house behind the barracks. Latrines were behind the washrooms. Those buildings are no longer visible. On both ends of the company barracks were rooms designed for non-commissioned officers. So the standard military work for Fort Sheldon soldiers included field deployments, communications, daily fort operations. Day-to-day operations included cleaning, caring for livestock, hauling water, firewood, baking, repairing fort structures, drilling or shooting practice, and guard duty. Okay. I don't know, this is looking really dark. I don't know if you're going to be able to see anything. But we're doing the best we can do out here at the time. Okay. Oh, this room was non-commissioned officers' quarters. May have resembled these quarters at Fort Stanton in 1888. Okay. It's another buckboard. Got a few of these buckboards out here. Ah, the commissary storeroom. Okay. Foodstuff and medical supplies were stored in this room. Typical rations or daily allowance of food for one person were as follows: 12 ounces of pork or bacon, 1 pound and 4 ounces of salt or fresh beef, 1 pound, 6 ounces of soft bread or flour, or 1 pound of hard bread, or 1 pound and 4 ounces of cornmeal. And to every 100 rations, 15 pounds of beans or peas and 10 pounds of rice or hominy, 10 pounds of green coffee or 8 pounds of roasted and ground coffee, 1 pound, 8 ounces of tea, 15 pounds of sugar, 4 quarts of vinegar, 1 pound, 4 ounces of adamantine or star candles, 4 pounds of soap, 3 pounds and 12 ounces of salt, 4 ounces of pepper, 30 pounds of potatoes, when practicable, and 1 quart of molasses. They tried to grow some fresh vegetables as well. Okay. Oh, mercy. Got little lizards. Okay, so we have a wagon up here. Actually does have a canvas top on it. It's a lot smaller than I thought they would be. Actually, I thought these wagons would be larger. It's really pretty small. You couldn't have carried a lot in there, but then again, it's being pulled by horses, etc. So not easy. Here we go with a statue of one of the soldiers. The Sentinel, 1876 9th and 10th Cavalry sculpture by Rinaldo Rivera. Okay, very nice. So that's about it for the outside walking tour of Fort Sheldon.